Welcome back to X1T Gaming, and together we're going to revolutionize the gaming industry. So, had a little bit of technical difficulties. I restarted my computer. Okay, okay, and I think we're good to go. I think. So I opened it back up. So we'll go back, start the process where we're going again. Just little hiccups here and there. Every time you're going to start something big, the universe wants to try to shut you down. So I feel like this is our way of saying that let's conquer this and not stop. So do you hear it through the headset? Okay, so boom. Okay. That was so weird. Me restarting the computer actually fixed my other microphone. So you're probably hearing double for a second. It was just showing up there that I had two microphones going on at once. I have the webcam that I'm using has a microphone on it, and it wasn't working for the last little while. And now it just started to want to work, and you guys are probably going to hear double. I got to go double check that when when we're done recording, just to hear what that sounds like. Probably a little bit crazy. Okay, so let's get back to it. We got video 5, 6, and 7 that I want to get done today, and then 8's a lesson recap, which I don't think we need to do. Unless you guys really, really want to. Okay, so we'll go back to 5. And it's doing the customize the vehicle's speed.
We've fixed our vehicle, so now it flies down the screen once again, extremely fast. At least our code is a bit more readable, but now we need to slow that vehicle down so it doesn't just fly off into the distance. So in our player controller script, we're actually going to use a little bit of math in this method to be able to slow our vehicle down. So first what we're going to do is we're going to want to change the way that we move our vehicle. So currently the way this works is our update method is called every single frame, but depending on how powerful your computer is, you might get 20 frames in 1 second, you might get 60 frames in 1 second, and so really your player could move at varying speeds depending on what kind of device they're using. So we actually want to change that from updating every frame to updating over time every second. So the way that we do that first is by multiplying. And for a computer, you should use the star symbol. So if you press Shift on your 8 key, it'll create that star symbol. Because actually, if you press X and use the X key, it considers that an actual letter that it needs to know to use for a word. So we use the star symbol to tell us that we're multiplying something. And then what we'll actually do is we have a class already made to keep track of time, so we don't have to write a class ourselves. So that is called time with a capital T, and you can even see it highlights it in green. That way we know that this was a pre-made class. So now we're using time to keep track of our time, and we actually use delta time to get the change in time between all of our different frames. So now, using this bit of code, we can actually know when 1 second has actually elapsed versus 20 frames happening, 60 frames happening. Who knows? We can't control that. We can control how much time is actually passing. So if we go test this, we press play, and our vehicle is still flying down the road, and that's not what I wanted to happen.
I think he forgot to save.
I forgot to save again. Okay. So back in the player controller, just make sure you save, Control or Command S. That way it always updates the script in Unity. So now, when I press play, we should see our vehicle moving, albeit very slowly, but because of that little bit of code we added, we're actually now moving 1 meter a second. You can see, if you want to time it, it would probably be just about 1 unit every single second. So, cool. Now we have our vehicle moving by time. Granted, it's moving very slow, but we can fix that pretty easily. So what we're going to do is before, but definitely not as slow either, which is great. As a fun little tidbit, the way that this formula actually works, this little equation that we have, so in fact, vector3.forward is storing a 0, a 0, and a 1. And so when you're actually multiplying it by the time and by 20, you're actually multiplying each of the different values. So first you multiply your 0 by time and by 20, which will always be 0. Then you multiply your y, which is 0, by time and 20, which is still 0. And then you multiply the z by time and by 20, which gets you 20 meters a second. So just a fun way to kind of see how the math works, and would definitely save a lot more time than just typing 0 times time dot delta time times 20, comma 0 times time dot delta time times 20 times 1 times time dot delta time times 20. So a really helpful way that, especially this shorthand, makes our lives even easier than before. So what you're going to do is, in your update method, you're going to change your transform.translate to just include a star symbol for multiply, and you're going to multiply your vector3.forward by time.delta time, and then you're going to multiply all of that by 20. So now it's
Okay, so we got the time frame going. Now time to do the next one. Mark step as complete. Man, we're flying through this. This is easy. Just copy and paste. Yeah, so just learning different stuff. So the things that I gotta learn is vector 3 forward, transform, translate, stuff like this. Yeah, so I'm starting to kind of get it. It's interesting. I wish so. On his videos, he actually has. He just puts his mouse over it, and then it'll actually tell stuff. It'll do different settings. I wonder what version he actually has. Because that might be the reason why it's not working for me. Yeah, I have no idea what version he has. Yeah, I think there's a Visual Studio 2019, and I'm using 2017. I think that's probably it. Okay, now we're going to be added rigid body on the components. I don't think we're going to need the code for it anymore. So rigid body should be something. Oh, I think we got to add it in components right at the bottom here. So I could just turn this one off right here. Add component is what we're going to be clicking. So I'll probably see if I'll probably leave it like this without the camera. And I'm so good looking. Don't you want to see me while I'm doing this?
our vehicle now speeds along at a normal rate instead of incredibly fast or incredibly slow. And now we want it so that we, instead of just driving straight through this box, actually can collide with it. In order to simulate physics in our world, we actually need to add something to both our obstacle and our vehicle. And we'll do that using our components. So our component system can add a lot of different properties that people regularly use. In this case, a property that people will commonly use for physics, a physics concept, and in this case allows us to interact with this truck here that we have as if it had real simulated physics on it. So now it's a solid object. You can see that on the rigid body component in our inspector. it has a mass, so we can actually make this heavier. We can use gravity or we cannot use gravity. So there's all of these different options. In fact, I think our inspector is getting a little bit too crowded, so you can actually click on the little arrows next to all of the component names, and it will compress down each of the different options. So that's certainly very handy if you have a lot of different components. So now we can see our rigid body component, which is great. And then on our obstacle, we can also go and with our obstacle selected in the inspector, we click Add Component. If we type in rigid body again, we can add another rigid body. So now our obstacle and our vehicle both have rigid bodies, which means they're both using physics, they both have mass, they both use gravity. So that's really helpful. And then one other important component to note in our list of components in our obstacle and our vehicle is actually these mesh colliders that we have on both of our objects. And our colliders are basically our ways of telling our simulated world that these objects can be collided with. So it knows that because there's a collider on this, when it runs into something like the ground or when it runs into something like our vehicle, it should do something like make it stop because we have a rigid body on it. So if we actually press play, you can see our vehicle collides with our crate. It goes flying off. If we were to turn any one of these things off, so for example, on our obstacle, if we turn off our mesh collider, our box actually just flies straight through the ground, and that's because our mesh collider is telling our game world that the box no longer collides with our road, so therefore it can just fly straight through because it's not supposed to collide. So really fun things that you can do, and just to kind of make our little driving game simulation a bit more realistic, we're going to increase the masses of these two objects just to make it a bit more fun, make it interesting. So we'll make our obstacle, our little crate, maybe about 20 kilograms or so. And then the mass of our vehicles, I don't know, maybe something like 1,000. So now this has even more weight behind it. So when it hits that box, we should see a slightly different effect happen. Yep, see? So it took much longer for that crate to fly over the vehicle because it was much heavier. So, fun little things you can do to create better simulated worlds in your games using things like colliders to tell your objects to know when they've collided with something like our vehicle and our box, or even our box and our road. Using rigid bodies to be able to create physics on our objects, so that way our obstacle actually has weight, our vehicle has weight, and we're using gravity, so it's actually being pushed down into the ground at all times. So what you're going to do is on your vehicle, you're going to select it in your hierarchy.
Okay, so yeah, we've got a rigid body and the mesh collider. It's kind of interesting how they have the physics already set up for you. That's pretty nice. So that one was pretty straightforward. Okay, mark is complete. Now, time for the last one. Yeah, and then so number 7. Then we just had the recap after that. Pedal to the metal. Duplicate and position the obstacles.
We've got some physics in our scene now, and we've got collisions happening. So as our vehicle's driving the road, it runs into this box goes flying. And now we're going to make this road just a little bit more treacherous, make our game a bit more difficult for our player by adding some more boxes. Make sure you pay attention before you do this yourself. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to select the obstacle, and I'm just going to make this a little bit easier for myself. So I'm going to left click and drag the obstacle in our hierarchy and drag it all the way to the bottom of this list. So you see this little blue line underneath all of the other list of objects. And if we let go, now you can see our obstacles there. And now what I want to do is I need more boxes in our in this scene. So I'm going to select the obstacle in the hierarchy by clicking on it. And I'm actually just going to press the Control key and the D key at the same time. So if I Control D on our obstacle, it immediately duplicates our obstacle. And now we have another. And you can see if I hover my mouse over the scene and I press F to focus, it's directly on top of the other box. So that's not what we want. But we'll just move this one a little bit farther back. We'll try and get it to around 50 or so. I'm just going to estimate. Yeah, around there is good. 50.1, almost had it. Now we have a second obstacle, but we want to add more. So if I just keep duplicating and dragging, that'll take a long time. So I can actually do something to make this a bit faster. So if I select my first obstacle and I control click on my second obstacle, now if I Control D, it creates 2 more obstacles. And in fact, I can move these back even further, just about, let's call it like there. That's good. We'll shift my perspective, so I'll actually click the little green Y in our scene view. Now we have a top-down view. And now I'm going to zoom out. So we're going to Alt and we're going to right-click and drag it to the side all the way to the left so we zoom out even more. Now we can see maybe a hand tool might be useful for this. So I press Q, select my hand tool. There you go. So you can see more of the road now. Actually, it might help if I just turn. There you go. And then just zoom in a little bit. Perfect. Cool. Now we can see our road even better. Really good opportunity to test out your movement skills and see if you can navigate your scene. So now we have our 2 boxes. Now we're going to make another set. So now I'll select my first obstacle. And in fact, if I just hover over the last obstacle, I press Shift and left click at the same time. Now all 4 are highlighted. Now if I Control D to duplicate, I have 4 more obstacles. Now if I select my move tool, I can move all 4 obstacles down the line, somewhere like there. Cool. You can see this last obstacle, obstacle 7, is a little bit off the road, so we'll just delete that. So I'm just actually going to press the delete key on my keyboard, and it deletes it from the scene. So now we'll save really quick, and when I press play, you can see the vehicle drives, hits one of the boxes, 2, 3, 4, all the way down. You can see them tumbling down in the game view. So, up there the vehicle goes straight down. Oh no, can we catch it? No, it's gone forever. Well, we know the physics works now, so that's great. And we hit all the obstacles, and we've made even more, so we've made things just a bit more difficult. So, what you're going to do is you're going to take your first obstacle, you're going to use...
Okay, so that's it for today for what we're learning. So we learned a decent amount. So it's just kind of duplicating these these objects. We learned a little bit of C#, did a little bit of coding. Excited for that. Wish it was a little bit more coding that we could have learned. But you know what? Beggars can't be choosers. Yay! I earned 10 experience points, and I only need 430 more experience points to level up. So yeah, I recommend that you guys do this yourself. Go to learn.unity.com. Take the junior programmer pathway. It's free. I don't know how long it's going to be free for. Hopefully it'll be free for you as well by the time you get to it. So then you guys can collect the points. You guys can do all this stuff on your own. So then the next lesson is going to be 1.3 high-speed chase. But I think we will tackle that one tomorrow. It's 50 minutes, supposedly. So we could probably get all that in one sitting. They have how many videos? Yeah, so they only have 7. 7 is the lesson recap. So I'll probably want to do all 6, especially if we don't have things that go wrong. It looks like we're doing more actual coding in this one, which that's pretty exciting. We're actually going to do the coding. I'm going to try my best to get Visual Studio 2019. I think what it is what it is, and that's going to actually be a little bit better. Where he's going to have like the colors that he said. It's going to have the what's it called? So he's going to have the colors. So it's going to be a little bit different rather than just kind of like a script. It's going to have a little bit of different stuff. Where we're going to have, hopefully, it's going to have the part where you can like see the suggestions that it has. Because that would be really great, I think, for me, especially me to be able to see all that stuff and trying to figure out what each does, what is for, rather than just trying to guess like we did earlier today with the vector 2 and 3 and just experimenting ourselves. But then it's always good to experiment ourselves just to kind of see where things go and see what it does so that we really get to learn what it's all about. And it helps us remember how it works because we learned it. Um yeah, so I hope you guys also enjoyed that video or this video. That you had fun watching. Remember, you can interact too. I don't bite. Well, maybe I do. It's just that you're on the screen, so I can't bite you. But yeah, so we're X1T Gaming. Remember, our end goal is we're starting a gaming company and just create good games for people to enjoy. That's the goal. And if you want to have that vision, partner up with us. Share, like, subscribe, and we'll see where this takes us, where this journey takes us. Will we be the top gaming company out there? Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? Right now, it's just a journey, and it'll be really great to see a David and Goliath kind of thing, where we're not only that. If I'll be happy if gaming companies just decide to make good games and just not do it only for the profit. I understand that they need to make money. I understand that people need to get paid for doing what they do. I understand that. I'm not complaining that they get any money at all. Like, I don't think all games should be completely free. They need to get paid so that they could actually eat and create more stuff. But the thing that I am angry about, or that I'm frustrated about, is that the marketing has taken over and they don't care about the developers. They don't care about the struggles and needs. They don't care what they need to have accomplished. All they care about is that the developers make the deadline. It doesn't matter if the game's complete, if the game's good, if it's not. And so they're burning out these developers. These developers now are just making better graphics to games, doing a little bit of edits, and then when a new game comes out, even if it's a crappy game, as long as it's new, it goes viral and crazy because people just want something different. And so I want to make not just new games, but new good games. I want to give people the opportunity to learn how to code who don't have the code. I believe there's people out there who are probably have a really good game inside of them that needs to get out, but they just don't know how to start. They don't know how to code, and they probably don't have the money or the finances to be able to learn, or the luxuries to be able to do so. So that's one of my goals that I'd love to do, is give people an opportunity to learn how to code and just create those games that they have inside instead of let them be stored and just let other people who know how to code but don't have any desire or dream for actual creating good games and just want money. So it'll be a great experience to see where this takes us. So join with me on this journey as we go in and we tackle head on this David and Goliath story. I think it's going to be sweet, and just I want to be an encouragement for others as well, because look at me. I don't know how to code. I don't have a great game idea, and I have a 10-year-old computer. You guys just witnessed that my computer froze and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't play the next video, so I had to restart. So it's old, but I want people to see that if I can do it, they can do it as well. So I want to be an encouragement to you all. So like, share, and subscribe. Leave down a comment below what you guys think. And yeah, we'll change the gaming industry together. So until next time, so I do Twitch in the mornings at 9 when I don't have work, and I do YouTube lives at 9 p.m. for learning because I got kids, so I put them to bed. So every day at 9 Pacific Standard Time, you can catch me doing lives on YouTube every day in the morning. On Twitch, try it out. See if you could catch me on Twitch in the morning at Pacific Standard Time at 9 a.m. I'll be just playing some games just for fun. We gotta take a break from this coding and all this learning all this time. Plus, playing other games helps build the creativity and be like, okay, once I actually learn how to code, it's gonna be like, how did that happen? How did he? What kind of code did they use to make that work in that game? How could I do that, or how could I make it better? What would I do in this kind of situation? What would I do for these kind of things? So it's always good if you want to be a gamer and develop and code to actually play some games and enjoy them. It's research to work on as well. So you could watch me on live Twitch 9 p.m. in the morning. I don't work every day. I do work some days. It's winter time, so we do landscaping. If you saw in my other videos, so there's only so much you can do in the winter. So this is a good time for me to get the Twitch going, so you have a better chance of catching me. But every day at 9, when we're going to actually doing the coding on YouTube, I'll be on live, learning how to code, going step by step, getting to the next scale, and hopefully by the end of this. So they said this is like a 2-week program. Let's stretch it out to like a month, because I think I'm taking half of the time. I think each section, I'm assuming they're wanting you to do it in a day. I have no idea. Well, maybe. Yeah. So I think each section they want you to do it in a day. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things, a tutorial, and then they have another project, Unit 2, basic gameplay, which is probably going to be about the same thing. So they probably have 1 week for this little intro thing, 1 week for the next thing. I'm taking about maybe half an hour instead of an hour every day. So we're probably looking into a month until I finish as junior programmer. Hopefully maybe a little bit less. And hopefully we'll have my first game out by then. I'm giving myself a 90-day challenge for the first game. Because I don't know, I never made a first game yet. We're going to be doing mobile game. Maybe do it for free. Maybe charge money for it. Put some ads. Maybe I'll just kind of like put the game and just bombard it with ads. So every time you guys click a button, an ad pops up. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do that. my boy is playing some mobile games, and it's just driving me crazy because he'll get me to play it, and I literally press the button like 5 times, and then all of a sudden it's like, you just completed the level, so here's a 30-second ad, and it takes me like 2 seconds to beat the level, and I'm just watching ads all this time. So that's another thing that drives me crazy about games, is that, oh, we're free, but are we actually free? So we'll have to figure out a way to bypass that. Ad. Okay, so until next time, and just remember, the vision is we're changing the gaming industry together. It's not just me, it's all of us. So hop on board if this is what you want to do, and I will see you tomorrow.